okay? I don't want to embarrass you.
No, it never embarrassed me, eh?
Okay, good.
So, once again, I'm Patrick. This is my mom. And she came over to America when she was about 10. So, let's just start there. How was the transition?
Well, it was different. I had like an English accent, and then I went back to Arizona. So the weather was different, but I just learned all those other games and things that you would do. I was 11, so I hadn't, you know, like I had to make friends again at 11, like in 5th grade was a little bit different. You're starting middle school. That's a little bit different. I felt like I didn't know if I was, I had just learned all this stuff about England and their history and stuff, and I felt like I missed out, like I lost a grade or two here. But I mean, I just didn't feel the content.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh.
Just keep going. Just keep going.
I just felt like I was different, like in a way. But not so bad in a way that
Ollie, no.
I just feel like we did different math and we did different things, and so then I had to learn things like the way America wanted me to do. You know what I mean? But with that's something that worried me with school, because I always wanted to do good at school. PE was different again, running, doing all that. You ran, but I don't know, everything was school was run differently, and I went from a Catholic school to a regular school. That was different too. Just seemed like a little bit of a different set of rules, that we had to go by.
Well, did you retain any of your friends from before?
No, I didn't, which was a bit of a shame. My family all kind of moved away from where I was growing up in Liverpool. They all started moving out towards the outskirts, to Cheshire, to Runcorn, and stuff like that. So they moved out of the city and away from the city. So even the connections that I had with my family, my grandmother, my aunts, my cousins and stuff, they all moved away from there too. Do you know what I mean? So I lost that. Not lost continuity or connections with my family, just the friends that I did make, that I did have.
Okay. Do you remember any of your biggest culture shock moments?
Oh, yeah. First of all, with me coming from America back over to England, they had me up in the front of the class, and they were all asking me questions about America, why everything was so big. And that was a shock. Everything was so small in Europe. The roads were small, the cars were small, even the trucks, they call them lorries, they were small. The refrigerators, like, that's a big refrigerator. I'm like, that is not a big refrigerator. The houses, everything is so compact because it's an old country. And America, driving back and forth across America from New York to Arizona, it's very big, it's very vast. I would get sick driving in England because it's like the roads are like this, There's not many freeways, but they asked, you know, like, so there was, I kept feeling like an outsider, you know. And just as things are getting, you know, a little bit more normal, then we move back to America, you know what I mean? So it's back and forth. That was kind of hard too, you know what I mean? But yeah, all these people running, you know, gathering around me and asking me if I saw Apollo 13. They asked me if, why do you say Z instead of Z?
Yeah.
You know, we say H and they say H, you know what I mean? And then also their spelling of words are different, you know. They like to use an extra U here and there, and favorite, you know. I had to learn how to write, you know, what was correct in England, and then when I got back, we went back to America, then I had to change my you know, learn how to do things back to American. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think that's hard for a student. I think, you know, your Uncle Dean and your Aunt Donna and Melissa, your Aunt Melissa, I think it was even harder for them because they were younger. You know what I mean? To switch that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, we may speak the same language, but we don't write the words the same. Things have different meanings. And, you know, and even maybe the ways that they teach certain things are, you know, it's just done differently. You know what I mean? And you're like, that's not how I learned how to do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's a big switch when you're in the middle of just learning all these things, you know, at age 10, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. You know?
Okay. Do you remember, I guess, so you came over, what, like when you're 10 years old? Right.
No, we came back here at 11.
11. Okay. And you moved several states. How was that?
Well, Grandpa wanted his car, so we had an American car in England, and they drive on the right side of the road. They also drive, the car is on the right, and they drive on the left side. Grandpa had his car, where American car, which is on the left side, how we drive, and he would just drive on the left side. You know what I mean? Like, so his car was different. We had our picture taken in the paper, the Liverpool paper, because they saw that our license plates were from New York, and that, you know, why did we come to England? And, you know, we did it, you know, Grandpa did it for Nana, and also to see, you know, have us see if there was a better life for them in England. But, you know, it turned out that there was more for us here in America, and it was kind of hard for Grandpa to find a job with him being American. Does that make sense? And then, yeah, we were all in the newspaper, you know, and he had bought an Audi and brought it over there. And so when we came back to America, we took the Queen Elizabeth II, we took a ship. And so this way Grandpa could have his car also transported. And we were on the last trip across the Atlantic before they kind of stopped. So it was pretty rough, winter, you know, starting having wintry seas and stuff. I remember being sick. I don't really remember anything else, just being seasick. Then we had to go, then we were in New York, and we were with Grandpa's family in New York. And then I had to go into a new school for like 3 months, and then we moved back to Arizona. So it was hard, you know, not being able to make friends or you know, like, you know, you just you starting to make friends and then you're moving again. It was a, you know, to go from in one country to a short time in New York and then here you're just like, ugh.
Yeah. So did you visit any other states? Did you live in any other state?
No. We just we traveled by car, you know. And so we always did a lot by car, and the 4 of us could be in the back of the car. And so I've gotten to travel a lot across the United States, and then we also used to travel down up and down the east coast of Florida. Actually, before we came, that's right. I forgot. Grandpa said, let's move to Florida. And so we went to Florida first and was there for a couple weeks, but we drove down to Florida first and we were going to live there. But Grandpa did not like the schools, did not like what he was hearing about the schools and stuff, and he's like, no. So then then we were in Florida, and then we drove from New York to Florida all the way across to Arizona. Yeah.
What made you guys choose Arizona, do you remember?
Because Grandpa had done some buildings. He knew some people, he bought some property and he built some houses. And they certainly liked the weather better. Florida, all I remember was lots of mosquitoes, lots of bugs. That's what I remember as a kid. But they just felt like this was a good. They just felt like it was a good place for them to raise us. You know what I mean?
Okay. Do you have any advice you would give to maybe the child of like an immigrant family or like somebody just coming from a new country, coming over? Do you have any advice?
Well, you definitely have to acclimate. You know, I had to change my way of thinking. I had to go back to changing my way to more of American, right? You know, because this is where I was living and growing up. So that meant learning how to rewrite words that were written differently in England versus here in America. Obviously you have to do that. You know, the games may be similar, but they're a little bit different rules. So that I had to learn all over again. You know what I mean? But you do what you have to do so that you fit in again. You know what I mean? You know, you may have to relearn things, but you have to assimilate, right? You have no choice. If you want to be part of that community and part of the school and you know, get involved, like, you know, I did track. I was a runner and I wanted to do that, and so, you know, I had to start being American again, not the way things were done not too long ago, you know, living in England. You know, you have to, you know, that's what
Did
you
you
do.
ever get insecure at times?